What's going on, guys? Just doing a little video here. I figured I would talk about this little sketch that I did because it's been on my mind since I did it, um, and because I know it could have been much better. Um, I mean, it's a somewhat small one, so I probably went a little too um, detailed on this one, I guess. But I was just trying to put down like a vignette style sketch, but there are little things that have just been sitting on my mind, um, particularly now that I've been away from it for a while. And I'm just coming back to take a look at it. And you can look at it with me real time, actually. Just trying to spot things that are clear, obvious structural problems or whatever with it. So, but first, look at that. That's pretty cool. That's like I drew a sort of a side profile of the same guy and sort of ghosted in there. Woo! That's the ghost of um, this guy in drawing anyway. I kind of stopped on that one because it wasn't going the way I wanted it to. But this one, yeah, I'm just going to look at it real quick and see if I can find anything that looks kind of clearly, obviously, that can be repaired on this. And I'm not looking at the reference, so I'm just kind of like, I'm going to use my um, experience, if I can say that, not too loudly. Um, First thing I notice is the shape of the head's kind of off here. I think I'll just leave it that way, but very clearly the temporal line would probably be more along this line here. So you can see like the skull goes around this way, and then this would not be straight down here. It'd be kind of wrapping in and kind of going right into the side of the orbital for the eye. But I'm just going to leave that the way it is. The other thing I noticed immediately is the eye socket here is kind of poorly developed. So again, without the reference, what I'm just going to do is add some, because as you know, the brow ridge is kind of acts as a little bit of a shelf over the eyes. So I'm just going to put some shadow on this side right here and maybe round it off just to make that a little more believable as an eye socket and kind of set it in as it meets the inner part of the orbital there. So that's a little better, and I'll probably do the same on this side as well, since technically this is the side in shadow. This whole side would be darker, but I'm not going to go crazy on it. I'm just going to push this a little farther in value here as well, and I'll probably just make an arbitrary decision to kind of pull this down this way just to sharpen this the triangular form of what is under most people's cheekbones. So I'm just going to put some tone in here just to give that a tiny bit more structure, and it will sort of flow a little better around the I forget what this form is called here, but the form around the mouth. So on this side it would be a little darker, so I'm just going to bring some tone in on this side as well. And again, not go too crazy, but I'm going to darken this side, and just make this one clear a little more clearly in the shadow side there. Again, not going crazy. These are really subtle changes, just to tighten it up a bit. But as you're watching, you'll probably see, for good or bad, even little changes can make quite a difference. So I'm probably also going to try to lose some of this edge here. You see how it looks almost like cut out. It looks too the line is a little bit too hard there. So what I'll do is I'll just I'll soften this edge here to let it just disappear into the background a little bit better, and I'll probably fix this a little bit. I'll bring this out a little bit more, the orbital, and kind of lose this edge as well, maybe a little bit more in like that area. So you see that kind of just lets it more softly marry to the background there. The other thing I noticed is these two little marks here. I'm not going to do too much with those, but really those were just like placeholders for the I forget what this form is called, the lip. How, you know, there are three sections. There's like this section, which is almost like a side plane as it wraps around cylindrical mouth shape. And then this is sort of a front plane, and this is another side plane. Well, this is like the division. You probably are familiar with that on your own mouth if you ever looked in the mirror. So I'm going to pull that out if I can with this. I don't usually use these ever. I try to draw just what I see and just leave it at that. I try very much not to use erasers, but in this case, just for this exercise, I'm going to do that. So you see how that immediately looks a little better? That how it's now more of just a line that sort of suggests the division between the planes there. I could do something with the mouth, but I'll probably leave that sort of out. I'm going to put a sort of an arbitrary, I think this is called there's some kind of angelic name for this shape here, but I'm going to put a little bit of a indication, because nobody's mouth ends at a dead stop like this in like a little hard cul-de-sac. There's always like a little, I can't remember the name for it. It's got something related to an angel, I think, but just going to put a little suggestion of that in there, and see how this is very hard on this side as well. I think I'll just pull that out with the eraser as well. And again, this is just me thinking real time about what to do with this thing, and thinking it through and just kind of sharing it as I go through. So see how that looks a little better there. Everything's softened up a little bit. This chin kind of needs some structure as well. So this jowl area here, what I think I'll do is I'll add some tone in there to make that more clear, and maybe turn this form a little bit. Ooh, I just gave him a deformity actually, so maybe I'll leave that alone. But what I'm noticing is that there's an imbalance here, like on this side. See how you can clearly see the jowl area? That should also be echoed on this side a little bit. So what I'm probably going to do is, following the same line down as on this side from the corner of the mouth, I'll probably just put a little bit of an indication of an indentation here. And you can kind of see how this brings more balance into both sides here. This is actually way too wide now that I'm looking at it, but that's okay. We're gonna mask the error by, I'm just gonna put in more tone on this side as well, and just deepen this whole side that's in shadow. So it'll be hard to tell if it was just a drawing mistake or if it's just so in the shadows we can't really see it. So there's that. I talked about the eye sockets, which I think look a little better now. I'm going to fix that little white areas in there, kind of annoying me. But just reviewing, you see how that kind of made the orbitals work out a little bit better. If we're working on a larger scale, I could probably do a little more with the eyes. I'm going to put a little indication of the folds under the eyes. So you see how that's a tiny bit better there. This could be fixed on this side, but I won't do much with that, since this side's, generally speaking, could be a little more obscure than the side that's in light. I think what I'm going to do here is try to fix his ear a little bit. Again, without reference, I'm not sure what the ear shape was, but I'm going to say it. Given the camera's slightly below his eye line, so I'm going to assume that the ear's appearing a little bit down here. I'm going to give it some arbitrary structure because, again, I can't see his ear right now, so I'm just going to let this come up here like that, and then I will fix this side a little bit to add some tone into the background and let that suggestion of an ear sit there anyway. Not going to do a lot with that because I don't have a good reference to look at, but I'll just put like a little darker area here, which is like where the earlobe meets the side of the cheek, and leave it at that. If I were to go back, I'd probably make this hairline a little more obviously here and darken this so that the hairline actually isn't melted to the skull, if that makes sense. And I'm not going to try this right now, but I would turn this, because The forehead, generally speaking, is three planes. There's like a middle area, which is often as a circle. And then you've got these side planes, like this would be one of the side planes, and then over here would be a side plane. So I might just put this hairline like this, and just to sort of hint at that a little better than it is right now, I will deepen this value. So you see how it automatically sort of starts to turn that forehead a little better. It's not perfect, but it might look a little better if I, yeah, that's a little bit better. You almost see the plane hidden in there now, this side. And this would be the frontal plane of the forehead. But anyway, that's it. This one's just been driving me nuts because little things like this, for example, like nobody's collar looks like that. What kind of color is this? So I'm just going to put a division in here to sort of fix that. So now it automatically looks more like a collar, although again, not perfect. I might do something like this, make it more clear that this is a tie. And yes, even ties have form. That's a terrible looking tie, but at least the collar is a little bit more clearly not just some strange shape sitting there. And I think I'll just go ahead and put some tone in here just to fill this in, to unify this whole area a little bit better. It looks a little messy. But anyway, that's just my my little rant. I might bring this color up as well. And then I'll really bring in some tone here just to make this. See how even that looks a little bit better. Just darkening that so it's very clearly just like a way darker tone than any part of his the figure itself or the portrait itself. Just put some tone in there. Maybe clear this line up. And you probably already tuned out by now because it's probably boring the crap out of you, but that's okay. Yeah, so that kind of plays into this concept of light side and dark side. So there's a trick. It's called almost dropped you. There's a trick called what is it called? I can't remember what it's called now, but there's a term for it where you have a figure which is lighted like on this side, and then there's a dark side, and there's a trick of putting darker average values on the light side of the figure, and then lighter dark values in the background on the dark side of the figure. So it sets up this trick that makes it look more realistic. So this is kind of why I pushed this tone down here to sort of simulate that effect there. But anyway, that's just it. This is a very long video for this, but this one's been on my mind for probably a year, wanting to come back to it and start to tweak things. So I don't know. You tell me. Does it look better now than it did when it started? Yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.